You don't perceive the world as it is. You perceive it as a story. Behind every thought, every habit, and every rule lies a deeper structure of chaos and order. In this video, we explore why your mind is not a blank slate and how ancient story patterns shape how you experience life. From the burden of daily routine to the chaos of crisis, what if your suffering was actually a mythic call to adventure?
Welcome to the Depth Dive. We've got quite a stack of sources here today, really diving into psychology, mythology, and just the messy business of being human, right?
Go on.
Navigating reality.
Absolutely. It's complex stuff.
So our mission for this deep dive is basically to cut through all this, pull out the core insights,
Yeah, the real takeaways.
give you a shortcut to understanding, how we perceive the world, how we manage all its complexity.
Find meaning, deal with challenges, all that.
Exactly. Face life head on. Let's jump right in.
Sounds good. What these sources really seem to highlight are the fundamental underpinnings of how we exist.
Okay.
They kind of challenge that simple idea of consciousness, push us to see ourselves as these incredibly complex systems, dealing with a world that just won't sit still.
Okay, let's unpack that, starting with maybe the most basic idea from the sources, that you don't start as a blank slate.
Right. That's critical. No blank slate.
There's a structure already there, guiding how you see things from the get-go.
Exactly. It's what they call an a priori perceptual structure. It's wired in before conscious experience, really.
And it's not just mental.
No, it's deeply embodied. Comes from billions of years of evolution shaping your body, your mind, everything. It's intertwined.
So the mind isn't just in the head.
Not at all. Your nervous system, your ability to perceive, to act, it's distributed all through the body.
Like walking, you mentioned that. It's like a controlled fall, mostly the spine doing the work, not conscious control.
Precisely. Your body has this profound implicit intelligence built right in.
Wow.
And it's fascinating how neuroscientists like Jacques Panksepp, who studied emotions, found this maps onto older ideas.
Psychoanalytic ideas.
Yeah, like the insistence on unconscious, almost personified motivations, drives, it actually reflects how the brain seems to work.
So thinking of yourself as like a collection of spirits or systems.
Governed by some overarching identity, yeah. It's actually, reasonable, neurologically speaking.
Okay, so if this built-in structure is our lens, what's its most basic form? The sources say it's a story, right? We live inside a story.
That's the core argument. And this is where evolution comes back in, powerfully.
How so?
Well, if you take Darwin seriously, structures that help us survive, they persist.
Makes sense?
So the fact that our minds evolved these story-like structures for interpretation suggests stories are really effective, deeply effective tools for navigating the world, honed by time.
And it's not just stories. There are other evolved structures too.
Oh yeah, fundamental dualities, like the brain's hemispheres specializing in the known versus the unknown.
Order and chaos.
Exactly. Those archetypal concepts. Your brain is basically wired to distinguish those two realms. Order is where you understand things, predictable. Chaos is everything else.
The vast unknown, potential and terror, you said.
Both, absolutely.
Which brings us to, how do we deal with the world's complexity? It's just overwhelming. Stories are the main tool.
They're the foundational map, yeah.
Yeah.
The sources talk about this Darwinian conundrum. The world isn't just complex beyond our grasp, it's shifting complex.
Yeah.
What worked yesterday might fail today.
Right. Unpredictable.
Evolution solves this with variation within conservation, like music, maybe.
Yeah.
A theme that repeats but changes slightly.
Okay.
Stories have that same structure. Core patterns, but adaptable to endless variations.
And if you ignore the complexity.
It just builds up till it breaks you. The sources mention clinical experience, people coming in not just with mental illness, but with lives that are just too much.
Psychophysiological exhaustion. It wears you down, body and mind.
That crushing complexity is chaos. It's the reality underneath that can just erupt, shatter the illusion.
The thin ice metaphor.
Exactly. Waking up with an ache that turns out to be cancer. That's chaos breaking through your nice, orderly world.
Mythologically, chaos is often a monster, right? Leviathan, dragons.
Yes. And the sources link this to our really fast, kind of low-resolution predator detection circuits.
So when our neat little conceptual structures get threatened.
Our immediate gut reaction is predator. Yeah. Enemy. It's why we demonize people who challenge our views so quickly. It's ancient wiring.
But chaos isn't just bad.
No, definitely not. The unknown, that's where all possibility comes from. Treasure, too. Think about water symbolism.
Right. Life-giving, you drink it. Deadly, you drown.
Exactly. Pre-cosmogonic chaos, it holds both. That terrifying, but also creative potential.
And we're always fighting things falling apart. Personal lives, family, society.
Constantly. You have to run like mad, as the sources put it, just to maintain things. Battling entropy, but also our own, willful blindness.
Ignoring problems doesn't work.
Nope. They just grow in the dark until they're big enough to eat you. Paying attention, seeing clearly, that's the only counter. Constant vigilance.
Okay, so how do we manage this day to day? The sources talk about patriarchal structure.
Right, and it's crucial to understand they mean that as a term for necessary order, not gendered, just structure.
Without it, there's just chaos.
Pretty much. It's the framework. Rules, habits, routines, social norms, everything that stops reality dissolving into confusion.
Our sanity depends on it.
Critically dependent on a functioning sociological structure, yeah. We need predictability, routine.
Those boring daily habits.
They're maybe 70% of your life.
Yeah.
And they keep you sane. That bedtime fight example is brutal, right?
40 minutes a day, 6 work weeks a year of misery.
Exactly. Routine is your escape from that kind of hell.
And it's not just personal routine. Society helps too.
Massively. People constantly send out these sanity signals. A smile, a frown, ignoring someone.
An eye roll.
Yeah, it's this constant exchange, this dynamic thing where we collectively figure out how to act, like a stock market for sanity, pricing behavior in real time.
We outsource the problem.
We have to. It's too complex otherwise. It helps us navigate that Red Queen race running just to stay put.
Because the world keeps changing.
And other people are running too. Biology gives you the capacity, but culture, learning the rules, that's how you tap into the collective intelligence.
And this relates to parenting. Making kids socially desirable.
By age 4, yeah. If other kids want to play with them, adults want to help them, that builds their social support, keeps them sane. It's not just obedience.
It's teaching them to do things right.
So they can navigate the social world effectively. That image of the walled city with the collective meta-spirit, wisdom, cunning.
Protecting order from chaos.
It's a great metaphor for that necessary social structure.
But structures can be bad too, right? Tyrannical.
Absolutely. That's the side effect. Hyper-order. Civilization is like a potent medication for chaos, but it has its own dangers.
Social structures are tyrannical, the sources say. You sacrifice individuality.
You do. Freedom, spontaneity. But the benefit should outweigh the cost. Resentment is the signal it doesn't.
So resentment means you're giving up too much.
We're not getting enough back. The challenge is fighting conformity while holding on to your own logos, your attention, your truthful speech.
So we have our body structure, society structure.
As defenses, yeah. And we cooperate to keep both chaos and tyranny in check. That's the ongoing political conversation.
And when things are working.
Gratitude is absolutely appropriate because the default is decay.
Okay, so we've got the structures, the threats, the need for order. How do you actually use this to navigate life? The sources talk about the bare bones world frame. You're always somewhere.
Right. And the big problem is being lost. Not knowing where you are. That's dangerous. Too many options. Overwhelming.
You have to zero in.
Specify your position. Tools like that past authoring program mentioned, they help you lay out your story, figure out what mattered, where you actually are right now.
People avoid that, though. Prefer the fog.
Often, yeah. Because knowing makes problems specific. And specific problems, well, they demand to be fixed. But you can fix them usually.
So if you're haunted by the past, say something from years ago.
It's just something's unresolved there. Maybe trauma. You might need to confront the dragon of the past, as they put it.
Like the childhood abuse example. Encountering malevolence, getting stuck in prey mode.
Exactly. Trying to decompose something that was fundamentally predatory and damaging. You get stuck.
So be like a sailor. Know your location, good and bad. And know your destination.
Precisely. Where are you trying to go? Setting that destination is powerful, but hard.
Why hard?
Well, you have to think consciously. Who am I? Where do I want to be, say, 3 to 5 years from now? Why? How? Most people just don't.
And that Jung quote, you're in a story anyway.
Yeah. If you don't know it, it's probably someone else's story. You're a minor character, and it might end badly. Living unconsciously could mean living a tragedy.
A malevolent tragedy. Oof.
Setting a goal is also hard because it makes failure clear. If you have a map and a destination, you know when you're off course.
But that's good, right? You can fix it.
Exactly. You know what needs adjustment. Your behavior, your understanding, maybe the plan itself.
Without a plan.
You're just driven by impulses, like a 2-year-old. A collection of quasi-autonomous subsystems fighting for control. Needs a leader.
And the leader should be logos, attention, communication.
The part that pays attention, speaks truthfully, learns. That should be steering the ship at the top of your internal hierarchy.
And this hierarchy mirrors action itself, from abstract goals down to tiny movements.
Yeah, it's a neat idea. High abstraction. Be a good person. Decomposes to roles. Good parent. Activities. Play with child. Specific actions. Move fingers for peekaboo.
A solution to the mind-body
A
problem.
multi-stage one, yeah. Linking intent to action.
And it applies to teaching, breaking tasks down.
To the right level for the learner. Don't tell a toddler, clean your room. It's put the bear in the box. Build it into their body, bottom up.
And relationships. Assume stupidity before malice.
That's a great rule of thumb from the sources. Decompose interactions. Negotiate routines consciously. Meals. Sleep. Greetings. Cover the bulk of life.
Rebuild that positive structure through agreement.
Yeah. And this structure keeps actual chaos at bay too, not just psychological, like the skateboard on the stairs example. Simple routines prevent physical disaster.
And all these smaller hierarchies fit inside the big one, the moral striving, the logos.
Yes. And you must never sacrifice that highest principle, attention, truth, for a lower level win. That's the sin against the Holy Ghost, violating the process of fixing things.
This ability to improve, to aim high, gives us value.
Fundamental value and unity, yeah. Allows diversity below, but unity at the top principle.
So rule of thumb for problems.
Yeah.
Solve locally. Highest resolution you can manage.
Exactly. Intelligent conservatism. Fix the specific thing. Don't burn it all down if you don't have to. Precise adjustments.
Okay. So when you do have a goal, how does the world look different?
Completely transforms. Suddenly, things aren't just there. They're filtered. Things that help you move forward. They look good. Dopamine kicks in. Positive emotion.
Signals progress.
Right. Things that block you look bad. Negative motion. And most things, irrelevant. They fade into the background.
That's where chaos hides, in the irrelevant stuff.
In the ignored details, yeah.
And the positive motion comes from moving towards the goal, not just getting there.
Key point. Achievement is actually often problematic. You instantly need a new goal.
This relates to Maya, the world as illusion.
Sort of. The goal gives the world relevance, structure, meaning. Change the goal, relevance changes instantly. So it's illusory in that sense. But being in a frame, that's absolutely real.
And positive emotion buffers against bad stuff. Anxiety, pain.
It does, inhibits them. And the sources argue the higher the aim, the loftier the goal, the more potent that positive emotion.
So aiming high is worthwhile, justifies suffering.
That's the argument. Without a high aim, suffering feels pointless, stupid. Suffering itself is meaningful. It means things aren't working. But it's not the meaning you want.
So you need an aim so good it makes the terrible reality, earthquakes, cancer, death, worth it.
That's the idea. An aim that justifies existence itself.
Wow. Okay, but what about anomalies? Unexpected things, infidelity, job loss. They break the frame.
Right. Tears a hole in the thin ice. It's anxious, terrifying, but also maybe exciting. Unknown possibility.
Because they unglue your assumptions, can collapse everything.
Yeah, your whole hierarchy can feel like it's dissolving, like the world's a nightmare. It's a forced trip back to chaos. It can be overwhelming, traumatizing.
Like the snakes on the bedroom floor feeling. System overload.
Exactly.
And these anomalies are made of spirited matter.
That's the term used. Confronting it, grappling with it, that's how you grow your spirit, enhance your psyche, like eating the apple.
Incorporating new, maybe painful information, making more of you.
It's combat with the dragon of chaos, the journey to the underworld,
If it doesn't kill you.
or make you wish it had.
Yeah.
It forces transformation. Part of you has to die, the part attached to the broken frame.
And sometimes it reveals something wrong with you.
Yeah. Maybe part of you is aiming wrong, or even aiming for things not to be good. That worst part needs cleaning up, which is incredibly hard.
So crisis reveals weakness. The pattern is frame breaks, chaos confrontation, rebuilding.
Hopefully rebuilding stronger. That stepwise improvement, which argues against moral relativism, right? Becoming more capable is better.
And the moral is, do it voluntarily.
Yes. Don't wait for catastrophe. Pay attention to the little things that bother you, that matter. They signal engagement is needed.
Undergo micro-deaths, fix small problems.
Instead of waiting for the big flood, a little renovation is better than a total shipwreck.
Speaking of floods, the sources discuss flood myths. They're almost universal.
Mircea Eliade's work, yeah. Cosmic rhythm. Old, corrupt world gets submerged. New world emerges from chaos, from the water.
And the causes are consistent. Human error, things falling apart.
Usually both. Human sin, ritual faults doing wrong or failing to do right. plus the world's natural tendency towards decay, entropy, both play a part.
Like the New Orleans example, natural disaster or human failure too. Corruption, bad planning.
The mythological view suggests the flood comes when you're not behaving properly, when you haven't tended to things. The Old Testament take is blunt. If you got flooded, you weren't ready.
It's not about fairness, it's about avoiding it next time.
Exactly. Pragmatic. Figure out why it happened. Fix the problems. In the world and in yourself. Morality is walking the right path to stay out of the floodwaters.
Noah is the archetype. Saw it coming, prepared.
Built the ark, rode it out. Preparation mitigates catastrophe.
And floods are always coming. Personal, societal.
Always. Will they be total disasters or can you ride them out? Depends on whether you got your act together. Can you see them coming? Can you prepare? Build something solid, sometimes step aside.
That story about the mother-in-law's dementia.
So moving. A tragedy, definitely. But because the family, especially her husband, stepped into that perfectly with attention and support.
It didn't become hell, something lost, but something gained too. Closeness.
Exactly. Tragedy is part of life. Hell, maybe, is optional. Attending to truth. Paying attention. Maybe that mitigates the worst.
Back to Eliad's question, things falling apart or human failure.
Maybe it really matters to address what matters. To walk with God. Build your ark day by day.
The sources get pretty direct here, pushing back on trigger warnings.
Yeah, they basically say, look, life will bring serious illness, death, pain to you, to loved ones. No escape.
So the question isn't how to be happy.
Happiness is shallow, fleeting. The worthy question is, what kind of person will you be when that shows up?
When the flood comes, be the person who built the ark.
That's the worthy pursuit.
Yeah.
And it connects to that apocalyptic theme. Not one a future event, but
The end of the world is always happening because your world is always ending.
childhood ends, jobs end, relationships end, health fails, life ends. And when it happens, you are judged. How you handle the crisis reveals everything you neglected.
So the task is prepare for your world ending so maybe you get a new one.
Powerful stuff. A real incentive to pay attention.
Okay, let's shift to some specific questions you raised based on the sources. One was about that online university idea.
Yeah. The rationale laid out is, well, pretty stark. Technology is disrupting old models, like newspapers.
And universities are failing, too expensive, humanity's losing their way, admin bloat.
That's the argument presented. High-quality lectures are free online. Humanity is seen as abandoning valuable content for ideology, crippling student debt, lowered standards. The system looks broken from that perspective.
So the vision is ambitious. Global, high-quality humanities education, super cheap.
Like a tiny fraction of current cost. Maybe only charge for optional accreditation. Teach core skills speaking, writing. Reach millions.
Instead of thousands.
Right. Strategy is start small, functional, then scale. Minimal admin, maximum access. Crowdsourced, self-improving structure.
Accreditation through exams. Maybe people could even create courses.
Ideas like that, aiming for an autonomous system outside the current structures.
And this connects back to needing a lofty aim to get you out of bed.
Exactly. A big, challenging goal aiming for real good, like educating millions, can overcome that inertia, that baseline suffering.
Acknowledged as difficult, maybe impossible, but worth trying.
And linked to that long-term work on those psychoeducational tools, the authoring programs, it's part of a larger picture.
Gotcha. Okay, another really interesting one you flagged. Psilocybin, religious experience, the transcendent.
Yeah, the sources acknowledge the, well, undeniable evidence from places like Johns Hopkins. Certain hallucinogens can reliably trigger mystical experiences,
Experiences people find profoundly important, life-changing.
often rated among the most significant events of their lives, leading to lasting personality change like more openness, even practical benefits like quitting smoking. But
Its meaning is unclear.
very unclear. Is it just disordered brain states like you see in some illnesses or epilepsy? Or is religious experience a real category, accessible different ways, dance, music, meditation, or hallucinogens?
Contrasting views.
Right. And a big caution flag, quoting Jung, beware of wisdom you didn't earn.
Don't play with fire.
Exactly. Seen as very risky to experiment casually.
What about Huxley's obscene knowledge? Ego dissolution, seeing all as each.
Mentioned, yeah. Linked tentatively to things like stroke affecting brain hemispheres. But how do you tell insight from delusion?
The pragmatic tests. Do others agree? Does acting on it sink your ship?
Those are the suggestions. The Hopkins studies noted participants generally didn't report negative life consequences, often positive or neutral.
Timothy Leary is a cautionary tale, though. Brilliant, but lost it.
Held up that way, yes. And then there's the problem of prohibition leading to dangerous designer drugs.
Chemists tweaking molecules, fentanyl, MPTP, causing instant Parkinson's. Scary stuff.
Awful consequences. So the takeaway seems to be mature approach is hard. Definitely not for fun or parties. Maybe for carefully chosen, well-oriented people seeking insight under strict guidance, but extreme caution is needed. Still playing with fire.
Well, that really was a deep dive. We covered a lot of ground.
From our built-in stories.
To complexity, chaos, the need for order, navigating with goals.
Facing anomalies, those underworld journeys, the flood myths.
Yeah, it really does seem to circle back to that core challenge, doesn't it?
How do you prepare for the floods? Build your ark.
Through attention, action, aiming high, not just chasing happiness or giving in to suffering.
Right. Conscious effort.
Which leaves us with that final, pretty provocative thought from the sources.
Your world will end.
In ways big and small. And when crisis comes, you're judged by how you handle it.
What have you built? What kind of person are you then?
A lot to think about there. Thank you for bringing these sources and questions to the deep dive. We really encourage you, the listener, to keep mulling over these ideas.
Yeah, definitely.
And we look forward to exploring more with you next time.